Hello there and welcome to what promises to be a very special edition of Four Wheels Good. We've been following Alaric Gordon, an ordinary man who during the week goes to a fairly ordinary job in the northwest of England. But at the weekend he becomes a racing driver who's competing in a Formula Ford Championship. In the past we've tried to show you entry-level motor racing that you can get involved in. And Alaric Gordon is just someone with a passion who has worked hard at finding sponsorship and is now able to drive at high speeds round the racing circuits he once dreamed about.
My name's Alaric Gordon. I'm a stockbroker working for a company in Manchester. I specialise in foreign stock markets, buying and selling shares in overseas stock markets from America to Hong Kong, Japan, Europe, all over. Whilst I'm not working here, my passion is motorsport. It stemmed from the fact that I lived and grew up in the shadow of a circuit up in the northwest of England called Alton Park, combined with the fact that my father and brother-in-law were also into motor racing. And I grew up surrounded by racing cars, and when I was old enough and had enough money, then we went racing. We've got a very good friend who runs a racing school, and at the time, when I was about 18, he ran it at a circuit near Aintree, the old Grand Prix circuit. And I saved up a few £100 and went for lessons there, and really just to find out what it was like. Once I'd done it, I realised that it was basically the best fix you can get without putting needles in your arm, so I kept on doing it.
I think when he came to the firm, he thought, well, here's an opportunity to find a bit of extra money to participate in my hobby and see some benefit for the organisation. And he sold the idea on us, and it's grown from there. I think we go back quite a few years now of supporting Alaric in his motor racing endeavours.
You can't just turn up and say, give me some money. You have to come up with a reason why the potential sponsor should be providing you with the budget to go racing. So you've got to prove to him that there are benefits involved from getting involved, and that's what I've had to do with Henry Cooks and the co-sponsors involved in this project. I came up with suggestions of how they could make use of it, what they can do to get the most out of it, and to get the advertising benefits from the whole project. It's a totally different world from where we are today. I mean, I spend 5 days a week in the office. You can see we're in the dealing room, and it's a totally different way of living your life at the weekends, as it were. Well, the reason we've come testing today is because we're racing tomorrow on the short circuit, and it's the first race on the short circuit. That's where they've cut out 1 or 2 corners, and it does change the character of the circuit a bit. So it's just to make sure that the car's set up right and that we're ready when we actually come to some competitive driving tomorrow. We've done 2 sessions so far. The first session we had a problem where the front brakes were not working properly. We've adjusted that, and we've actually in the second session gone quicker than we did all last year. So I think the best time today is a 1:05.2, and hopefully by the end of the day we'll be doing 1:04.5, something like that, which would put us fairly near the front tomorrow.
What I look for in a driver, it's quite unique. You need to have a very special power of concentration. Unlike any other ball game, a ball game, for example, the ball goes out of play every few seconds or a couple of minutes. The racing driver needs this sustained concentration. So they tend to come from all walks of life, and a lot of it is practice, of course.
Alaric's the flash racing driver name, whereas Pod's the family nickname that everyone knows me. It's easy to get it on the pit board, so it's pod on the helmet, pod on the pit board, and we put Alaric on the side of the racing car because we reckon that gives us half a second a lap, because it makes me sound a little bit more exotic.
He's quite unique because although he actually only races at the weekend, he has this sort of power of concentration to do the job right. What he does lack at the moment is a certain amount of practice. He's pursuing his other career, as it were, and that's why a day like today is particularly important. We're certainly heading in the right direction. What I think in Alaric's case is he's responding to the amount of testing we're able to do, and we are going quicker and quicker, so hopefully the results are going to get better and better.
Someone's dropped a load of oil down at Old Hall, and I've gone off, so we've done a bit of damage, and I've got to get these side pods sorted out and the brakes fixed. So I don't know whether we'll be out again this afternoon, but we'll see how it goes.
Well, we've seen our Mr. Gordon at work and at testing, but how will he fare with real competition? Join us after the break when we'll be watching Alaric compete at the fantastic new motor racing circuit on Anglesey. Welcome back to this four-wheel special in which Alaric Gordon, the stockbroker, is competing seriously in a Formula Ford Championship. Join us as we follow his fortune further at the motor racing circuit on Anglesey.
I've always been in some strange locations for motor racing, and this has got to be one of the most glamorous locations I think we can ever been to. It's in North Wales, in Anglesey, and there's a new race circuit up here that's only been open for a couple of months now. And this weekend sees the first proper race of this particular season. And Alaric's been driving around today already in practice. So Alaric, what sort of rating do you give this as a driver's point of view?
Very much thumbs up, and we've found that although it's quite a short circuit, it's quite challenging. There's a lot of directional changes, a lot of undulations, and it's not as straightforward as it looks at first glance. And you know, we've been testing all day. It seems we've got things sorted out, and we've had a good day.
I have with me Richard Peacock, who's the circuit manager. Well, Richard, obviously you're looking forward to a good race day tomorrow.
Yes, it's very exciting. This, of course, there's a lot of work been done in the last few months, and this is leading up to, as I say, a very exciting day.
Well, when I heard about this race circuit, I must admit I had to do a double take, because being a sort of fairly local to North Wales, I associate North Wales with rallying rather than any motor racing.
Yes, well, I think North Wales has been starved a little bit of motor racing because, of course, there's two racetracks in South Wales, but North Wales hasn't got anything whatsoever. And I think this is one of the reasons that this circuit here at Anglesey is proving so popular.
Well, obviously you've got an absolutely stupendous location here because you're right on the side of the ocean. You've got wonderful views, and obviously it's a well-known holiday sort of place for people to come to in England anyway. Are you hoping that holidaymakers will actually come tomorrow and watch the race as well as the normal motor racing enthusiasts?
Yes, I think we've got the added bonus of a varying audience each week as people that come on holiday, and of course it's very popular with so local hotels and pubs and restaurants and everything, because of course it's bringing business to an area that apart from 6 weeks a year is quite starved.
So are you hoping to sort of extend this programme throughout the year, so you're going to have racing sort of 6 months of the year or not?
Well, the circuit actually has things going on most weekends. What we're actually trying to do is improve the quality of the events that are on, and as this event tomorrow is a sort of full-blown championship race meeting, the first of its type, as I mentioned earlier, but we're generally trying to update the type of events. The motorcycle events that have been held here this year have been absolutely fabulous.
Well, obviously it's a bit of a change from the Alton Park circuit you normally race on. Obviously that's the Alton Park Championship you're doing this year. So what changes have you had to make to the car for this circuit?
Well, the circuit characteristics are totally different. So we've had to soften the suspension up quite a lot to cope with some of the directional changes. We've also had to change the gear ratios because some of the corners are a lot tighter, and for example, we have to use first gear for the hairpin, and the existing gears that we had in for Alton Park just weren't satisfactory, and so we have had to make some changes, but that's nice because it's a pleasant change to be actually somewhere else other than Alton Park, where you can get into some fairly sort of boring old habits if you're constantly going around time after time.
I think the main difference after driving around the circuit now, there's quite a lot of difference in the straights between the straights you get at Alton Park and the straights you get here. They're sort of a lot shorter here, and the corners are very much more demanding, aren't they? You've got a very sharp corner, a couple of sharp corners, so obviously gear-wise and positioning-wise in the actual race, that's going to be very important to you.
Well, the straights are certainly shorter. There's only two places where we very briefly just snatched fourth gear, once on the main pit straight and once going down towards the hairpin. The corners are very different simply because you have some corners where 1 minute you're going through a left-hand corner and halfway through that you have to brake and go through a right-hand corner, and it unbalances the car and unsettles it, and it does mean that, as I say, we have to have the cars a lot softer, and you have to be a lot more on the ball in terms of keeping it under control, and it's also a lot harder work. Although it's a short circuit, Alton Park's got long straights in places, and there's plenty of room to have a breather. Here you just don't get a break, you're constantly on the ball all the time. Well, one of the attractions of doing a local championship, particularly if you live locally to it, is that it cuts your costs quite substantially in travelling. Over the years, Formula Ford has been one of the most competitive and also one of the best value formulas in terms of single-seaters. And Alton Park is one of the most challenging circuits. So, you know, all that combined, and really knowing that I was particularly at 6'5", I was never going to be a Formula One driver, or I was never going to find £500,000 to do.
Hard burger, did it?
Well, he's only 6'2", I think. Yeah. So you know, probably also having got over my ambitions and disappointment at the fact I'm probably not good enough to be a Formula One driver. It's just great racing and it's good fun, and once you've started it and got the bug, it's very difficult to give up.
Well, currently you're lying, I think, about 5th or 6th in the championship, is it?
That's right, yeah.
So you're hoping to improve on that by the end of the season, obviously. So next year, for example, if you do well this year, are you going to sort of move into something else, or what, haven't you thought about that yet?
We're just starting to. I mean, the difficulty is that if we start moving into anything else at a higher level, the costs just escalate into the stratosphere, and it does get very difficult. You know, if you were to do anything on a national basis, the Z-Techs or anything like that, you start moving into six-figure numbers to do it properly, which is what we want to do, and so it is difficult. So it's something we'd like to do, but it's dependent on finding the funding to do it, and to a certain extent the results of this year and how happy our sponsors are. You know, if they're happy at the end of it, they might want to go on next year to do bigger things.
Well, it's race day, and unfortunately, in qualifying, disasters happened. Small problem with the oil pressure. Alaric, what went wrong?
Well, to use the technical jargon, the engine's blown up, but we went out in the first qualifying and weren't as quick as we have been over the last 2 days. Didn't quite know why, but in the second qualifying session slowed right up, and then the engine started knocking, and so we've had to change the engine, and that's what's going on at the moment. But it's hindered us in terms of having to move to the second heat.
Right, so hopefully the guys are working very hard now, so hopefully we'll get it finished in time and you'll be out there again. So do you think your chances are going to improve in this with the new engine?
Well, the problem is that the engine hasn't been on a dynamometer, so we don't really know what it's going to be like, but it's going to get us out, and it's going to be hard work, because I have to start at the back of the grid now with a 10-second penalty, which obviously hinders me in terms of the actual race, but getting through to the final is going to be a problem in the sense that it's based on total race time, and if I've got an extra 10 seconds added on, that'll be a problem.
Yeah, 'cause it's unfortunate, because we saw you earlier on this morning and you're actually having a good run at the front of the field and you're getting some good times in, but that's motor racing, isn't it?
That's the way it goes. I mean, you know, we were looking for a good result. It may yet happen, and we've got a good chance still in the Champion of Anglesey race at the end of the day, so we'll just have to see how it pans out.
We'll keep our fingers crossed and we'll be back to you shortly.
Oh, right.
Well, Alaric, car number 13, we thought it was going to be unlucky, and today you've had a new engine put in, and now here we are after the race where you just done an amazing thing. You just managed to crawl your way through from almost the back of the grid up into 6th place.
Yes, well, I mean, we were at the back with a 10-second penalty, or I think the marshal who let me go was counting to 5 instead of 10, which was kind of him. But after all the problems we had earlier with the clutch playing up, then the water pump, and obviously the engine change, it's nice to actually get around, get past a few people, and get something of a result.
Well, you didn't actually escape undamaged, did you? You did a little damage to the nose of the car.
No, well, we had I had a spin when I touched someone's wheel at the hairpin, and then through the bottom corner again I was behind someone who slowed up in the middle of the corner for some reason. We've got tyre marks all over the nose cone, and lucky in a way not to have been punted off, but we got away with it.
Have you found the best place on the circuit to get past people now or not?
Well, it is a very difficult circuit to get past people, and the secret seems to be to get right up behind them as you come onto the main straight, because the only decent corner you can pass them, unless they make a mistake, is going into the first corner at the bottom of the hill. So that's where I did most of my passing on this occasion. You can, on occasion, get past people at the hairpin, but it's one of the demon late braking manoeuvres and doesn't always come off.
Cheers out. Well, here we are at the end of the day at Anglesey Race Circuit, and it's been a bit of a success after a fairly horrendous day for Alaric, but he managed to finish this race in 5th position after making a start from 9th on the grid. So Alaric, how did it go?
Well, it was a lot better than earlier on. We've had the engine timing sorted out, so I got off the line quite well, and I was stuck in 6th, I think, for some time, but eventually got past someone. I was hoping to get past the next guy, Colin Neal, who was 4th in the end. Unfortunately, the race was stopped early, so because of someone left a load of oil on the track. So that was that. That was only
definitely gaining on him. But I must admit, as this is the first race at this circuit they've done this season, I'm very pleased to say that we've actually finished on time as well.
Yeah, well, I think they're pretty strict about finishing on time because they've got curfews for the noise levels and what have you. But the organisation's gone very well, and the whole meeting's been a great success, and I think everyone's very pleased.
So from a driver's point of view, the circuit's a big resounding success.
Oh, definitely thumbs up, yeah, absolutely.
We've been following Alaric Gordon and his team in the Formula Ford Championship, and this round at Anglesey was the first round here in this new race circuit in North Wales, and the day's gone really well, apart from a few problems with the engines. I had to have a new engine changed, and Alaric has really come back from the depths of depression, in fact early this afternoon, to actually finish in quite a few high places in the last 2 races. So he's had a reasonably good day, and everybody's declared this first race at Anglesey a major success.
So there it is, the way into real single-seater motor racing for you and I. It takes drive, ambition and an ability to persuade those people with the money to part with it, but you can do it. Once you've convinced your benefactors, though, you've got to prove your ability in the car, and as we've seen, that's not always easy. The competition is fierce, but for those with the skill and the determination to succeed, the rewards may turn out one day to be great. For Alaric, it's on to the next race, so let's wish him and his team well for the future. See you next week.